When perfect maps show imperfect truths, the massive scanning station orbited the dead planet Xerion like a metal moon, its thousands of sensors reaching deep into space with invisible fingers of energy. Commander Crix Valen of the Zephyrian Empire stood before the central display, his forearms moving gracefully across holographic controls as data streams flowed around him in rivers of light. For 3 months, his team had worked without rest to complete the most ambitious project in galactic history, mapping every single ship, station, and vessel in known space. The Galactic Peace Summit was only days away, and security demanded perfection. Every government, every corporation, every pirate gang and trading family had to account for their fleets. No surprises could be allowed when the most powerful beings in the galaxy gathered on neutral ground to sign the first universal peace treaty in 10,000 years. Crix felt pride swell in his chest as he watched the final numbers cascade across his screens. Over 47 million vessels cataloged, from massive dreadnoughts to tiny cargo haulers. Every ship's location, speed, heading, and ownership verified through quantum-encrypted databases. The work was nearly complete, and it was flawless. Until it wasn't. The alert chime that filled the command center was unlike anything Crix had heard before. Not the usual gentle tone that announced completed scans or routine updates, but a harsh, urgent sound that made his 4 hearts skip in unison. His scanning technician, a young Zephyrian named Yix, stared at her console with wide eyes that flickered between purple and gold in confusion. "Commander," Yix said, her voice tight with disbelief, "we have a problem. A big one." Crix glided across the deck on his powerful legs, his clawed feet clicking against the metal floor. The main display shifted to show a 3-dimensional map of Sector 7 Alpha, a quiet region near the edge of human space where nothing interesting ever happened. Trade routes passed through it, but slowly. No military presence, no conflicts, just empty space and distant stars. But now, cutting through that emptiness like a blade through silk, was something impossible. "What am I looking at?" Crix demanded, though part of him already knew the answer would change everything. Yix's hands trembled as she expanded the display. "A ship, Commander. Moving at impossible speed. Our sensors show it's traveling at 97% of light speed, but there's no hyperspace signature, no dimensional fold, no quantum tunnel. It's moving through normal space at a velocity that should tear any known vessel apart." Crix studied the display, his analytical mind racing through possibilities. The ship appeared as a faint energy signature, barely visible even to their most advanced sensors. Its shape was wrong too, sleeker than any design in their databases with energy patterns that didn't match any known propulsion system. "Run a full identification scan," he ordered. "Cross-reference with all galactic databases. I want to know who built this thing and why it's not in our records." Yix worked frantically at her console, streams of data flowing across multiple screens as the station's massive computers searched through trillions of records. Minutes passed in tense silence, broken only by the soft hum of electronics and the distant vibration of the station's rotating sections. Finally, Yix looked up, her expression pale and troubled. "Commander, this is impossible. The ship's energy signature, it matches human technology, but it's unlike anything in our databases. The design appears to be based on early human military vessels from 30 years ago, but with modifications that shouldn't exist." "Show me," Crix said, moving closer to examine the technical readouts. The display shifted to show comparative analysis between the mystery ship and known human vessels. The similarities were there in the basic hull structure and power distribution patterns, but everything else was wrong. The engines produced no heat signature. The hull showed no electromagnetic emissions. The ship moved through space like a ghost, leaving barely any trace of its passage. "There's something else," Yix continued, her voice dropping to a whisper. "I ran the ship's quantum signature through the casualty databases from the Titan War. Commander, this ship, it matches the UES Phantom, a human stealth cruiser that was lost with all hands 30 years ago. According to official records, it was destroyed in the Battle of Titan's Edge." Crix felt ice form in his veins. The Battle of Titan's Edge had been one of the bloodiest conflicts in the human civil war, a 3-day nightmare that ended with entire fleets reduced to debris. The UES Phantom had been humanity's most advanced stealth ship, carrying experimental technology that died with its crew. The wreckage had never been found, assumed vaporized in the battle's final moments. If that ship was destroyed 30 years ago, Crick said slowly, then what are we looking at now? Before Yix could answer, new alarms began sounding throughout the command center. The mystery ship had changed course, turning directly toward their scanning station with fluid precision that no autopilot could achieve. It was accelerating, somehow moving even faster through space that should have crushed any living crew from the forces involved. "Commander," another technician called, from across the room. "The ship is sending a signal. It's a human naval identification code, but it's encrypted with algorithms that predate the Galactic communication protocol by decades." Crix watched the approaching vessel with growing alarm. They were the most advanced scanning station in Zephyrian space, equipped with enough firepower to destroy a small fleet. But something about this ghost ship made him feel helpless. It moved with purpose, with intelligence, as if it knew exactly what they were doing and why. "Can you decrypt the message?" he asked. The technician worked furiously at his console, sweat beading on his scaled forehead. "Partially, sir. It's a warning. The ship is telling us to stop scanning, to delete our records of its passage. It says, Commander, this doesn't make sense. It says the dead have work to finish." The main display showed the ship was now only minutes away, moving, at speeds that defied physics. Crix had commanded the scanning station for 15 years, had detected smugglers, pirates, and enemy fleets, but he had never encountered anything like this. The ship wasn't just fast or stealthy, it was impossible. "Sir," Yix said urgently, "should we alert the Galactic Council? If there's an unknown human vessel with advanced technology operating in violation of the peace accords..." Crix hesitated. The peace summit was built on trust, on the belief that all governments had honestly declared their military capabilities. If humanity had been hiding ships like this, vessels that could move faster than light without using hyperspace, it would shatter the delicate negotiations before they began. But as he watched the ghost ship approach, Crix realized something that chilled him more than the ship's impossible capabilities. On his screens, he could see faint life signs aboard the vessel. 37 humans, showing vital signs that matched perfectly with the crew manifest of the UES Phantom. Men and women who had supposedly died 30 years ago in the flames of the Titan War. The ship slowed as it approached the station, coming to a complete stop just outside weapons range. For long moments, nothing happened. The two vessels faced each other across the void, one massive and bristling with sensors, the other sleek and silent as death itself. Then the ghost ship simply vanished, not into hyperspace, not behind a cloaking field. It simply ceased to exist on their sensors as if it had never been there at all. The only evidence of its passage was the recorded data in their computers and the lingering quantum disturbance in space where it had been. Crix stared at the empty display, his mind reeling with implications. Somewhere in the darkness between stars, a ship that should not exist was flying with a crew that should be dead, carrying technology that could change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. "Commander," Yix whispered, "what do we do?" Crix looked around the command center at his frightened crew, then back at the display where 37 impossible life signs had vanished into the void. The Galactic Peace Summit would begin in 3 days, bringing together leaders who believed they knew every threat and every capability in known space. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "We do nothing," Crix said finally. "We report. A sensor malfunction. A ghost echo from an old battle. The Phantom is still listed as destroyed, and that's how it stays." "But sir..." "The Peace Summit cannot fail," Crix interrupted, his voice firm despite the uncertainty in his hearts. "Whatever that ship is, whoever those people are, they chose to remain hidden. Perhaps they have good reasons." As his crew reluctantly began deleting the sensor records, Crix continued to stare at the empty space where the impossible ship had been. In the depths of space, the dead were sailing toward an unknown destination, carrying secrets that could reshape the galaxy. And somewhere in the darkness, Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Phantom, watching the Zephyrian station. through sensors that could see across light years without being detected. Her crew, 36 souls who had chosen to let the galaxy believe them dead, waited for her decision. The Peace Summit was in danger from a threat the Council didn't even know existed. Soon she would have to choose between maintaining their secret mission and saving the very people who had declared them casualties of war. The ghost ship turned toward the distant stars, carrying its impossible crew toward a destiny that would test the limits of human courage and sacrifice. The hunt was about to begin. When the dead must decide the living's fate, deep in the void between stars, where no light could reach and no sensors could detect, the UES Phantom drifted in perfect silence. The ship's hull, black as the space around it, seemed to absorb the faint starlight rather than reflect it. Inside the vessel that officially did not exist, Captain Sarah Chen stood in the observation deck, staring out at the distant glow of the Nexus system where the Galactic Peace Summit would begin in 2 days. She was 47 years old, though the galaxy believed she had died at 28 in the Battle of Titan's Edge. Her dark hair now carried streaks of silver, and lines of responsibility marked her face. For 19 years she and her crew had been ghosts, carrying out a mission so secret that even Earth's government had forgotten they existed. Behind her, the soft sound of footsteps announced the arrival of her first officer, Commander Marcus Webb. Like Sarah, he was officially dead, his name carved on memorials across human space. The crew of the Phantom had made the ultimate sacrifice, giving up their identities, their families, and their lives to protect humanity from a threat the galaxy refused to acknowledge. The Zephyrians deleted our sensor signature from their records, Marcus reported, his voice carrying the weight of years spent in the shadows. Commander Valen covered for us, just as you predicted he would. Sarah nodded without turning from the window. Crix is a good officer. He understands that some secrets exist for good reasons. She paused, watching a distant star pulse with ancient light. Any word from our deep space monitoring stations? Marcus's expression darkened. That's why I'm here, Captain. Long-range sensors have detected something at the edge of the galaxy. The Devourers are moving again. The name sent ice through Sarah's veins. The Devourers were the reason the Phantom and her crew had faked their deaths 30 years ago, an extragalactic species of mechanical beings that consumed entire civilizations. They had been slowly approaching the galaxy for decades. Most governments dismissed them as myths or distant legends, but Earth's deep space monitoring network had been tracking their advance for years. How many ships? Sarah asked. A full invasion fleet. Over 10,000 vessels, each one larger than anything in our combined galactic navies. They'll reach the outer systems in 72 hours. Marcus moved to stand beside her at the window. Right in the middle of the Peace Summit. Sarah closed her eyes, feeling the weight of impossible choices. The Galactic Peace Summit represented the first real chance for lasting peace in 10,000 years. Every major species would be there, their leaders gathering on the neutral station of Haven Prime to sign treaties that could end centuries of conflict. But they would also be defenseless, their fleet scattered and their guard down. The Devourers had planned their attack perfectly. Assemble the senior staff, Sarah said quietly. It's time to decide. 20 minutes later, the Phantom's senior officers gathered in the ship's conference room. These were the 37 souls who had chosen to let the galaxy believe them dead, who had spent decades in isolation preparing for a day they hoped would never come. Chief Engineer Lisa Patel, whose supposed death had devastated the scientific community. Commander Alex Rivera, whose tactical brilliance was still studied in military academies. Dr. Emma Foster, whose medical research had saved millions before. She vanished into legend. Each of them had given up everything to serve aboard humanity's most secret vessel. The moment we've prepared for is here, Sarah began, her voice steady despite the magnitude of what she was about to propose. The Devourers are 3 days from the outer systems. The Peace Summit will be in session with every galactic leader gathered in one place. We have perhaps the only ship in the galaxy capable of detecting and engaging their advanced fleet. Commander Rivera leaned forward, his scarred hands clasped on the table. Captain, if we reveal ourselves now, if we break our cover after 30 years, there's no going back. The galaxy will know humanity has been operating outside the Accords. It could destroy the peace process, and if we don't, Chief Patel countered, there might not be a galaxy left to have peace in. The Devourers don't negotiate, they don't take prisoners, they consume everything in their path. Dr. Foster spoke up from her position at the far end of the table. We've been monitoring their technology for decades. Our stealth systems are the only thing that's kept us hidden from their scouts. If we engage them openly, we lose that advantage forever. Sarah listened to her officers debate, understanding the impossible position they were in. The Phantom had been built with technology decades ahead of anything else in human space. Its stealth systems could hide it from any known sensor. Its engines could push it faster than physics should allow. Its weapons could strike targets across light years without revealing the ship's position. But all of that power meant nothing if they couldn't decide how to use it. There's something else, Sarah said, and the room fell silent. Our deep space monitors have detected the Devourer fleet's communication patterns. They're not just planning to attack the outer systems. They're specifically targeting the Peace Summit. Someone or something has told them exactly when and where to strike for maximum damage. The implications hung in the air like a poison cloud. If the Devourers knew about the summit, if they understood its significance, then they had help from within the galaxy itself. Commander Webb spoke for the first time since entering the room. We took an oath 30 years ago. We swore to protect humanity and the galaxy, even if it meant sacrificing our own lives and identities. That oath didn't come with conditions about political convenience. Sarah looked around the table at her crew, these men and women who had already died once for their beliefs. She saw determination in their eyes, but also fear. Not fear of death, but fear of the choice they were about to make. If we do this, she said slowly, everything changes. The galaxy will know that humanity has been operating in secret. The peace accords will be questioned. Some species will see our actions as a betrayal of trust. And if we don't, Dr. Foster replied quietly, those same species will be consumed by the Devourers while their leaders debate trade agreements. Sarah stood and walked to the view screen that dominated one wall of the conference room. With a gesture, she activated the display, showing a real-time image of Haven Prime, the massive space station where the Peace Summit would convene. The station sparkled with lights, surrounded by the most beautiful ships from dozens of worlds. It looked like a celebration of everything the galaxy could accomplish when it worked together. In 72 hours, it would be ash and debris, unless the Phantom acted. We have two choices, Sarah said, turning back to her crew. We can maintain our cover, stay hidden, and hope that someone else finds a way to stop the Devourers. Or we can reveal ourselves, break our mission protocol, and use everything we've learned in 30 years of preparation to save people who will never thank us for it. The room was silent for a long moment. Then Chief Patel smiled, the expression both sad and determined. Captain, I didn't fake my death just to watch the galaxy burn while I hid in the shadows. One by one, the other officers nodded their agreement. Commander Rivera was the last to speak. We've been dead for 30 years anyway. Might as well make it count. Sarah felt a warmth spread through her chest, the same feeling she'd experienced 3 decades ago when her crew had first volunteered for this impossible mission. They were about to throw away years of careful preparation, abandon protocols that had kept them safe, and reveal themselves to a galaxy that might not forgive them for the deception, but they would do it anyway, because that's what humans did when faced with impossible choices. Very well, Sarah said, returning to her place at the head of the table. We have 72 hours to reach the outer systems, locate the Devourer fleet, and find a way to stop 10,000 ships with one vessel that officially doesn't exist. She looked around the table one more time. Any questions? Commander Webb raised his hand. Just one, Captain. When this is over, when the galaxy knows what we've done, what do we tell them about why we stayed hidden for so long? Sarah considered the question, thinking about all the years of isolation, all the sacrifices they had made. We tell them the truth, Marcus. We tell them that sometimes the best way to protect something is to let it believe you're not there. The meeting broke up, and the crew dispersed to their stations. Within minutes, the Phantom was moving again, its impossible engines pushing it through space at velocities that would have been considered magic by most of the galaxy. The ship that did not exist was racing to save a peace summit that might not survive the revelation of its presence. As the Phantom accelerated toward its destiny, Sarah remained on the bridge, watching the stars stream past like tears of light. In 3 days, the galaxy would learn that humanity had capabilities beyond anything they had imagined. They would learn that sometimes the greatest heroes were those who chose to remain unknown. But first, 37 ghosts had to fight 10,000 demons in the darkness between stars. The final hunt had begun, and this time, the dead would save the living.